added, and then I ran it through a text-to-speech engine. Moby Dick is done.
I could not be more submenu link delighted to see you, I exclaimed. Be more submenu link delighted. In truth, I loathed her.
So you heard it give the clue that the word, before it said the word delighted, it said submenu, and that was that ARIA role indicating that there was some kind of pop-up associated with it. So then I just walked through with my cursor, or actually with the arrow keys, until it read the word delighted. I hit enter, and then it opened that, it displayed that text, and it also read it. And if I hadn't gone through that exercise of adding those ARIA decorations, that it would have happened visually, but not, the text-to-speech engine would not have known that anything had changed. So we're really hoping that content authors are going to use these features, especially when they're authoring interactive content, to make certain that, like, when I'm really interested in interactive publications, and sometimes when I talk about that, people are like, oh, it's stupid bells and whistles, and it's not accessible, and it sucks, and I don't want a movie in my book, and all those things are true, but I don't think that one necessarily has to imply the other. But it will require some careful authoring. So just some of the semantic things that we get out of HTML5 itself. So this is the sort of type hierarchy that Bill was talking about before. We in the EPUB group didn't want to have to do some large laborious process of defining every single element that could be possible in a human text. We have TEI for that. So in EPUB, we just simply have this ability for you to fill in these features, these descriptions that are relevant to your publication. Over time, some of them will probably become conventions, so that reading systems will simply know that if it's a glossary, they probably want to use a certain kind of presentation. Otherwise, I think the main role for this kind of annotation will be, of course, for accessibility, but also maybe ultimately to make epub3 a realistic kind of like source manifestation of a digital book, instead of having to rely on these very rich vocabularies like TEI or like DocBook that publishers sometimes don't feel was worth the trade-off. If you have a very richly marked up epub3, you could potentially later on in the future serialize that to some other format because you're still maintaining a pretty high degree of semantics. So there is a lot of overlap between the ARIA stuff that I talked about before and HTML5. The sort of convention on the web is that if you're authoring in HTML5, you should use those elements versus the ARIA ones, which were really meant to be a kind of stopgap. I think the ARIA folks agree. So a couple other demos about interactivity. I think we all know that there are books that might enjoy it. So we had this kind of spirited debate about, how much rope do we want to give content creators to hang themselves on by saying if you can do scripting or almost app-like stuff in a book, it is necessarily true that those kind of books will not be as portable as plain text markup books. And I think we ended up basically with the best possible approach, which is to say that you can have what is called in the spec spine-level scripting, meaning a script that can operate in the context of the entire book, or at least a whole spine-level element, like a chapter. So basically anything is up for grabs. There's a script, and the reading system doesn't know what the script will want to do. It could cause the book to repaginate. It could not use pagination. It could shoot things into the margins. But I think we have to let people be creative and just try that stuff out. In addition, some books don't have to be cross-platform. They may be designed for like a particular, just for a particular reading system or just for a particular channel, and there's nothing wrong with that. You may still want to take that content and repurpose it in a more broad way, but then you just remove the scripting and you should be able to do that programmatically. We also have the concept of container-constrained scripting, and essentially what that means is that the script has to operate in a little rectangle. And that would be most useful for some kind of like interactive exhibit. And I'll show some examples that I didn't do that are actually pretty cool, that are essentially more cross-platform because we're guaranteeing that the script won't break out of that little box. So you can still paginate